Now this once again is another short video on a project that has taken me many weeks to complete, simply because I had to gather parts from different figures. In this case, it is a custom 3D sculpt resin printed by John Walker Customs, and that cowl is from the original Justice League Batman, which I had to carve out of the actual chest that it was attached to. So all that you have is the actual cowl. Now the emblem also I carved out, and that is from the Dark Knight Returns Batman. Now it's all set onto the body of the Three Jokers Batman, and yes, the belt is also from the original Justice League Batman. Now I attempted to reuse a cape, a full cape from a prior project. It didn't work out. It just looks bad. So it took me 3 initial attempts to get the correct cape. The second one was just too narrow. Again, that was trying to reuse a cape from another figure, and it just didn't work out, although it was on this original body. Now, because this figure is an amalgam of different pieces, it needed its own cape. So it's just a little bit wider, a little bit longer, and it's got some more details to it, but it's made out of the same textured pleather material. Now, if you remember, I did mention that cowl is from the original Justice League Batman, and well, here it is. I had to attach the cape to the inside of the cowl before attaching it to the figure. And yes, I did have to drill out that hole without drilling out that peg. Eventually, I switched out the peg for a smaller one because the head just sat too high. And I did repaint the cowl itself with the black. Now, I just used the fabric tag glue to glue in this pleather, which I actually added some detail, some wear and tear to the bottom, and on the inside as well, because if it's going to wear, it's not just the outside. Now, if you take a look here, and this is just in the natural studio light, this is the gray that I ended up painting the figure because this is the customer's request. By the way, this is a commission. This is not my piece. And I had to add texture to the body. The Three Jokers Batman body is completely smooth. There is no texture. I did that by adding a layer of the sealant, the Liquitex matte sealant, and then putting a piece of material over that and then taking it off, being careful not to, well, rip off the paint. Now I'm going to attach now the cowl with the cape to the body, and I'll have to leave it there and have it set for at least 6 hours, but I'll be off to work, so it's going to be 24 hours. That chest emblem I did glue with the fabric tag glue because I wanted to place it where I needed it and have the ability to move it around and place it correctly. Now for the cowl, I'm using this, and I don't always buy this stuff. This is the Gorilla Glue, and this is the reason why I want this. Not only does it dry 2 times faster, as it says here, but it also expands 3 times. Well, waterproof, doesn't make any difference here. I'm not going to submerge it in water, but it will expand, and I only want it on that ball peg that's going to attach to the cowl. I've already done that. You can do that on your own. You don't have to have a video show you how to do that, but I do need to hold it in place as it dries over time. Now the reason I chose this one is because it doesn't dry instantly, and it allows me to place it where I need it. Once it's fully dry, it is there to stay. This is the figure with the cowl now glued on with the cape, and that cape comes out from underneath. You do have to carve out the shoulders at the top, or I should say the shoulder muscles where the cowl would go over, because that original cowl is a little bit smaller, and if you don't, it's going to sit too high. As it is, it towers already over some of the other figures because it sits higher than it did before. But if you don't shave it down, it's not going to fit properly. Once you shave it down or grind it down and glue it on, it will fit correctly, especially with that cape coming from underneath. And as you do see here that head does sit a little high. I had to switch out the peg for it to sit lower. And those gauntlets are from the Detective Batman. So I actually cut them off of the Three Jokers' arms, the original gauntlets, and I glued these on there. These were easy to take off the Detective Batman. They were just glued on. Very, very little glue was used. And I just reused the gloves from the Justice League Batman. I'm going to leave you now with some of the finished video of the piece. And yes, I did reset that head before I sent it out. I used a smaller peg. In any case, if there's any questions or comments, of course, leave those in the box down below and I will certainly get back to you. In the meantime, keep customizing.